Hello and welcome to Dysfunctional Dialogue. I'm John McParland, and I got with me here someone who I haven't talked to in, I'm afraid to say how many years. High school, Eddie. High school. Eddie Mott is with me here today. Eddie, welcome to the program.
So great to be here, John. Good to see your
Yeah,
face,
man.
It's been,
Yeah, no
I think
kidding.
it's
Same
40,
here.
42 years, I think it's been.
Oh, you
It's
see, you had to
crazy.
go ahead and say it. You had to
I
say the
had
number.
to, yeah. Yeah.
So I was talking to when you saw that I had Keel on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your name came up actually a couple of times. I think one time got aired, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But he was insisting. He goes, "Oh, you got to get Eddie on here."
Yeah.
You know, Eddie
Yeah.
was good stuff. I'm like, yeah, I remember, man. I remember Eddie. Eddie was good stuff, and hopefully he still is good stuff.
Oh, shit, yeah. I remember you well. It's funny, Johnny, because it's like I just started getting back into contact with people from high school. And there's a couple names, dude, I flat out just don't remember, right? There was
Yeah,
guys
same here.
and I'm looking and I'm like, and then you look, I got the yearbook still. So you look, it's crazy.
Yeah, those giant bow ties still crack me up to this day.
Yeah. Oh, it's
What
great.
the
They
hell are they
still do
thinking?
it. Word on the street is they still do it when they get their
No
graduation picture.
way.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it.
So, I don't have like a ton of questions. I kind of like when these things sort of just gravitate and just go wherever they go. But some things did pop into my head and that I wanted to run by you. So Keel and I talked a little bit about a couple of these things. What the hell did I do with that? Oh, there it is. Did you do college?
I did briefly. I got out of Bosco. I went to Susquehanna. I came from one of those families, dude. There was no choice. That's where I was going, right? I didn't want to go there. I had a girlfriend. I had and
And you know what? And
again,
that'll crush you. There's no way
yeah,
to get past that. I had a friend in college like that. His parents sent him to the school I went to, Niagara University, simply because his sister was going there, his twin sister, and
yeah.
they wanted him to keep an eye out for.
Well, dude, I was the first one. I was the first one in the family to go to college, right? That actually went away. My father, they all went at night, right? They either became cops in Jersey City or they went to school at night and got out. That's my
Okay.
father did. Yeah. So I went to a school called Susquehanna, which is out, in Pennsylvania. It's about, I don't know,
Pennsylvania.
45 minutes east of Harrisburg. So it's in the middle of nowhere. So actually
No
Chris
kidding.
Benson went. Remember Chris
Yeah.
Benson? So
Yeah.
I roomed with Chris Benson, and the academics weren't the problem or any of that, right? Money was very tight for my parents had a tough time. It was like, dude, it's like people laugh when we say we started Don Bosco, it was $900 a year to go there, right? And $900 was, $80 a month. It was a substantial expense at the time for my family anyway, right?
Mine too, dude. I got a
Yeah,
story
it
for that one,
was.
but keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. We can't go on vacation this year. We got to pay this. So yeah, so that growing up like that, I there was always this level of appreciation. So anyway, I go. The money part was hard, but what happened, John, and kind of what changed everything was, turns out I had an absolutely crippling drinking problem, right? And
No kidding.
at one point, dude, you couldn't even hide in college. Like if you remember Animal House and like Bluto blends in and right.
Yeah.
I had like the partiers of all partiers coming up to me telling me that you're going to be dead, right? And then my first semester
It's a
away,
good
I
thing. It's
got
a good thing you
mono.
didn't hang out with me and Brian Smith our
Yeah,
freshman year.
dude, it might have been better because you guys might have stopped me at one point. Like I met all these new people and I became the dude that I became the buffoon dude. It was like, I tell everybody, it's like I couldn't have gotten laid at Susquehanna if my name was Horsecock Rockefeller, right? I could not. It was because I was the dude that farted and I'll smash a can on my head or something, right? So
Can't get past Horsecock
well, yeah,
Rockefeller,
yeah.
man.
So that's like I told that like the second or third time I spoke at AA. I was an AA guy for a while, and I said that and it was a men's meeting, and they all went crazy. So that's my secret code name in the Trenton rooms. It's Horsecock Rock. So
Dude, I tell
so
you, man. So, and just to be clear, it would have been worse had you been with Brian and I because we had no filters in that area. We barely got out of our our freshman year. In fact, he didn't get out of his freshman year. He was asked to leave.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
see
because we
that.
were just it was
And he
an
was a
absolute
smart dude too, wasn't he,
mess.
Brian? Right?
Brian's pretty smart. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
remember him
absolutely.
being, we were all both of us, we were kind of lazy at one point, or halfway through the whole high school thing. But I never thought. I always thought he was smart. But yeah,
Yeah, sure.
that's a
And have you
shame.
seen any of the episodes with Brian in them?
No, I'm gonna go back and look now, though. I watched
Do
Keel.
so because
Yeah,
there's
I
some
yeah.
funny ass conversations,
I'm gonna
man.
do that. I'm gonna do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny,
yeah. I
man.
think you'd appreciate, if nothing else, just to see him after 42 years. Be a little trippy to see him after that much time. Do you remember there were two gym teachers our freshman year? One of which I want to say he had like a lazy eye or something like that.
It's
And
brother Rich,
yeah, he
right?
was a
Brother
brother. Exactly right, right.
Brother Krager.
Krager, that's it, brother
Krager,
Krager.
yeah.
That's the guy.
So
That's the
then
guy.
there was a guy freshman year. He was the trainer for all the football teams. There was a dude on the freshman team named Craig Schlagbaum. You remember Craig Schlagbaum's name? He
I
left like
don't.
6 months in. He was a linebacker, very good football player. Found a Playboy, Brother Krager's training table.
No shit,
Imagine,
really?
dude, it was like 1980. And at that
Yeah.
point, it was like, these guys were supposedly touched by the Lord himself. And we found a Playboy. It was like, holy shit.
No, that's crazy. But
Yeah,
the other gym
Krager was
teacher,
one.
yeah, yeah, and I forget the other guy's name for the life of me. It's evading me. It might have been Smith, actually. His name might have been Smith,
Yeah.
but he played this. He had us play this game where he called it Olympic ball, but it was, for all intents and purposes, crush the man with the ball.
Yeah.
It was nuts. I remember,
Yeah.
and I lived on this stuff. This is kind of the way I grew up. So I was really in my element. I was just loving it because we'd always just beat the heck out of each other in the neighborhood, just in a very fun kind of way. And of course, played all that football in the years leading up to it and stuff. So I was well trained for it. Well, they would push the bleachers all the way in, right? Remember they had the bleachers on the side of the gym.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and like for like dodgeball, you line up on one side, you throw the ball, and you peg the guy in the head and that kind of thing, or you just hit him. And that got outlawed. That had nothing on Olympic ball.
Yeah.
We would, so they had teams, I forget how many, maybe 10 on 10 or something like that. And you'd have a little net on each side of the gym. And I'm hoping some Bosco guys are watching this right now and flashing back saying, oh my God, oh yeah, because
Yeah.
it was crazy. And so you run up the court and you throw to your teammate. It was like, sort of like soccer, but like with your hands, and to get the ball into the other goal. Well, there were no rules, really, no fouls.
Yeah.
You could just hit and crush anyone you wanted to crush, to the point where I remember we were all just like crushing people into this bleacher stacks and just knocking people over and tripping. I remember Jim Isaac.
Yeah. Jim McIsaac.
Jim McIsaac, that's what it
Jim
was.
McIsaac. Yeah, big dude.
Super sweet guy, really big dude.
Yeah.
But that was not his game for sure.
Yeah.
He just sort of sat there in like just disbelief, like what the hell was going on around him. And I'm sure no one was crushing Jim because he was all sweet and stuff like that. So we let him be. But it was
dude.
Crazy.
He was among the brain power of that. There was a lot of brain power in our class, man. At the top, Jim was one of those guys. He was really smart dude.
Yeah, super smart. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to express himself too well.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jim. I always liked Jim. He had those rosy cheeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like nothing got to him. So
and nothing got to him. No, nothing got to him. Yeah, he was good like that for sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry you don't have that memory because I'm thinking, Ed, that this is a game that you would have really enjoyed.
I would have loved it. Yeah, dude. I was with Krager for gym first year, so we did calisthenics and weight, right? And then it was like I tell everybody, it was 3 years of dodgeball after that. That's all we did. When the football coaches took over the gym teaching duties, there was no gym. There was dodgeball, right? There was no uniforms, right?
No, it was so good, man. It was so good. Yeah. And because here we are at an all boys school, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we needed something to just sort of just unleash on. We
Yeah.
needed that. We needed that. We're stuck in class. We're wearing suits all day or ties with
Yeah.
a Bosco sweater on or something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly, dude.
and I'm not sure any of us were built for that, but we did it because that's what you had to do. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Well, there wasn't a lot of choice, right? We didn't have a
no, there was
choice.
no
We were told.
choice.
Did you guys go to Catholic in middle school or any of that prior to
I
Bosco?
went
Because
to
I
I
hadn't.
did I went to St. Anne's School in
Okay.
Fairlawn. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. See, I'd
yeah.
never
You were
been. I went right. Yeah, I was public to 8th grade, and we went to
yeah.
Bosco, and it literally smacked me right in the face, dude.
Yeah, that's a shock. That's
So
a
yeah,
major, major shock going from public school to Bosco.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
because it was a shock, in some ways for me as well. And I had Catholic school for 8 years prior to that.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
said, you just
yeah,
get thrown into this mix of people that you
yeah.
don't
Then you
know, and
get
you
hazed
know,
on the bus, right, man? You get right.
yeah,
They break
yeah.
your balls on the bus. You remember those? You guys had that?
Oh yeah. So I was telling a story on one of these podcasts where freshman year. Well, actually, there's a few stories from freshman year. One is particularly embarrassing. I don't even know what I ate the night before. It was like one of the first days of school, and I fucking puked on the bus. And it's not like from like being nervous or anything. It wasn't like that at all. I just ate something bad, just not good. And I unfortunately I got the name Upchuck on the on the
Chuck
bus.
was in it. Yeah, your Delta Tau guy name was up, Chuck.
Yeah, yeah. But the upperclassmen would be in the back. The freshmen would be up front. I remember you mentioned Tony Mott before. He was on that bus.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, Frank
but
Campana probably broke your balls. Yeah, that was a Hawthorne
what's that?
bus. It was Frank Campana on that bus too? Older guy, remember him?
Probably. Yeah, I
Probably.
couldn't even tell. That sounds familiar, but that bus was nuts. I got to tell you a couple of things about that bus. So one, the story I was going to lead with, and that was the guys from the back of the bus. Now I was probably like 105 pounds soaking wet or something. Us McParlins, we grow late. It's kind of a typical Irish thing where you shoot up a little bit later, but we were notorious for it. So I was small and thin.
Yeah.
And the upperclassmen challenged or forced the freshmen to charge at each other. They would pick a upperclassman, they'd pick a freshman, you charge at each other. And I was up for it because, again, this is kind of the way I was. I was a little bit
Yeah.
nuts. I'm the fifth of six kids. Our neighborhood was crazy. I'm like, let's go. I played football those years. And they picked a guy out. They picked a guy out who was, thankfully he wasn't the largest guy, but by no means was he the smallest guy. He was probably, if I weighed 100 and say 105, 110, he was probably like, I don't know, 140, 145, and he probably had about 3 or 4 inches on me or something like that. So he was much bigger than I was.
Yeah.
And we charged at each other. I put my head down. They used to call me headhunter in football as a kid because I would spear people, back before we knew back when we really knew the dangers of it. Yeah, so I'm holding off that CTE somehow to this day. At least I think I am. I don't know. I'm a little freaking nuts still, so maybe not. But yeah, that's right. You could be the judge of that. You and everybody else listening.
Yeah.
But I put my head down and I just hit him right square in the skull with my head, and he was out. Just dropped him. I looked up at the other upperclassmen and I said, "Is that enough?" And I walked up to the front.
Oh my God.
This little shit saying that, which is pretty funny.
105 pounds. Yeah, dude, I think I went into Bosco like 130 pounds when I went in, right? That's crazy.
Yeah. So a couple more stories. The bus drivers, they just didn't care. I remember this really big bump in the road. I want to say it was somewhere in Ridgewood, and we would say, "Go faster, faster, faster," and he would gun it to hit this bump, and you're not exactly getting airborne with a bus, but he came damn close to it because we hit that thing hard. Yeah. And we're just flying in the air. It was so cool. And on more than one occasion, remember we had a kid who went to school with us, Wilkes. They had the delis.
Curtis Wilkes, yeah.
Curtis, that's it.
Wilkes.
Curtis Wilkes, right.
Great dude, yeah.
Another great dude, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, his family owned those delicatessens.
Yeah. Yeah, they still do. He runs the whole thing now. Yeah, he runs the whole thing. Yep.
Well, Curtis, I'm sorry about this from the past. Well, although I never did, I don't believe I ever did what I'm about to say, but I was at least I was at least a part of it in some fashion. Anyway, so we would ask the bus driver to stop at the Ridgewood Wilkes Deli on the way back home. And he would. And we would
And he would.
pile off the bus, go into Wilkes, and maybe a few guys bought something, and everyone else was just cleaning off the shelves and
Jeez.
taking things. So sorry, Curtis.
And
Although
you had a getaway. You had a getaway
and
car.
you had a getaway.
Yeah,
we had the big yellow bus
You
getaway.
had the big yellow getaway car. Right? That's great.
Oh, just a bunch of innocent Catholic school boys. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, dude, that's my friggin' AA story. The first time
Yeah.
I ever got drunk, like we all grew up in the era, right? We had a beer with our father when we were, when I was 12, I split a beer. Everybody did that, right? But the first time I ever like caught a buzz or whatever, the bus driver from Don Bosco bought beer on the bus for us. And it was the fresh, dude, all of the friggin', it was Robert Cardi and Chris Lapinto and Tony, right? There's like 10 of us. He brings a case of beer on the bus. The oldest guy was maybe 16, right? They're drinking it, right? That was the first, and I remember, and I tell everybody, it was like May 18th or May 14th, like 1981, right? And I remember telling everybody, I was walking up the street. I'll never forget. I got a weird memory, right? I'm walking up the street. My parents are away, and my grandparents are watching me. And I got a motor lawn, right? And I'm thinking, there's a whole fridge full of beer in my house, right? So it's like the first time I was like, 2 beers on a bus, I catch a bus. I wound up drinking like 7 beer and mowed the lawn, and that's where it started. So people are like, "How long you been having a drinking problem?" I go, "Since day one," So
Wow.
here
No
I am,
kidding.
though. Yeah, isn't that crazy though?
No kidding. So
imagine
right from
doing
the
that
beginning.
today. Yeah, day one, dude. Day one.
Wow.
It was to the point where even in my teens, I would take extras and sneak them in my room in the event that, I had to go to bed or whatever. I did, right? Yeah. So this is, and then you go away, right? So you grow up, dude, we had curfews and all that. We were all Gen X, right?
Yeah.
But it was Catholic high school. I had a father who was an ex-Marine, staunch Catholic dude, right? And there were rules. And then I go away to school. And I was like, I described it as like I was a puppy next to the highway, dude. Right? That's what it was.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I noticed that with some kids. I saw the ones that had trouble handling it, for lack of a better term. I don't even know how to say it, in college, were the ones that didn't do much partying in high school. So, but you did the partying in high school.
We did. Yeah, we did. We did.
Because then all of a sudden they felt the freedom, but you also had that as well. You had the feeling of freedom because of some of those strict rules that you had. And I had a fairly strict Catholic household upbringing as well.
Yeah.
But I was also the 5th of 6 kids, so my older siblings kind of broke them.
Right.
They broke those horses.
The parenting tires were wearing out on tread. Yeah,
they were.
Yeah.
And they were just tired. They were, like, my dad was sick, my mom was working. They didn't have the energy to be cracking down. And actually, that was one of the main reasons why I went to Bosco, is because my parents did not want me going to Elm Park High School, because my mom actually taught there for a short period of time in the late 70s, saw what it was like firsthand. And my siblings got out of there. My sister Eileen talks about how getting out of Elm Park High School and going to Georgetown was like, getting like 8th grade to like graduate school or something.
Yeah, no shit.
Literally had no training at all, other than what she got at home from our parents, who were both educators.
So your dad was an educator also then?
Well, yeah, he actually was. He was a chemist for a lot of years. My dad's story is pretty interesting. It looks like what we've learned over the years is that he may have. So he was an inventor as well. He invented the first formula that allowed suntan lotion to be marketable at a profitable level. So so he invented, in essence, the first suntan lotion.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. He also invented a foot powder, and he did it because my mom's feet were always itchy. So he took it to the lab and she developed first, a new foot powder, or the first foot powder, something like that. but he also apparently, and I didn't find out this later, he was working for a company, working on a program for defoliating vegetation, I guess maybe for farmers or something like that, or for something, or maybe for industrial purposes. So this way you don't have weeds and crops. I really don't know the backstory of what he thought he was working on, but it turns out he was working on Agent Orange.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah.
And he found out that it was being weaponized, and he spoke up, and he got fired and blackballed from the industry.
Oh, is that right? Jesus.
Yeah, man, he got screwed. My dad was freaking brilliant, and he could
Yeah.
have done so much in the lab, and
Yeah.
he got screwed. And then he got sick, probably from working on those freaking chemicals and shit.
Right.
He was sick for years. For years, the man was sick. So yeah,
I bet you're right, dude. That makes perfect sense, man.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, and he died from something that he died from lupus erythematosus, which they say
Okay.
there is a correlation between that and Agent Orange.
But there's a
Yeah,
positive in the story
there's always a
because
positive.
because it's like, hey Eddie, what did your father do? For a living? Oh, he sold software. Nobody gives a. It's like, oh, my father invented suntan lotion, so
Yeah, my
whatever.
dad's got a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, your dad was
yeah,
an electrician. Oh, great. Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
no, that
That's
is
right.
neat, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So when'd you do the AA?
So I stopped the first time I stopped. So I drank for 20 years, right? So I stopped for the first time in '02. So I started 81, 82, right? I started 82 for keeps. That's when it started. That's when it was falling down the step. It's not a lot of shit I'm proud of, but I own it,
No,
John.
why would you be?
It's like I don't, there's a million stories in the Red City there, but it's like, most of them are positive. Most of them are funny. I wasn't a fighter or any of that.
No, I would imagine you're
I
not.
just got funnier, then I got hammied, and I passed out. That was it, dude. I got all I love you, man, and then I fucking.
Yeah, that was like all my buddies. I don't know
Yeah.
about the "I love you, man" parks. We probably would have ripped on each other for that, but it was all just laughter
Yeah.
and silliness and coming up with what could you do so one friend, his motto was "Do it for the story,"
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
which is a dangerous
That
motto
is. It's an
as a
incredibly
young,
dangerous model.
yeah,
Yeah.
particularly in college when you have all that freedom, and we had the stories to show for it too, for that matter. So, are you comfortable with telling any of those wilder stories from the early Eddie days?
Yeah. So what happened is we got out of school. I go to school. I got mono my first semester, right? And I got it really bad, right? To the point where I was in the hospital for like 8 days. I remember Keel came to see me in the hospital.
Mm.
It was strange because it was my
8 days
throat
is a long
closed up.
time.
Well, yeah, they didn't know. I had such a reaction that my throat closed, and they were going to put a trach in and do all this. So they gave me a steroid, and I was in an oxygen tent, and it was,
Oh my
and it
God,
was all
Eddie.
related to the fact that I was just absolutely beating the shit out of myself. So you recover from that. I go back a second semester. I didn't want to go back, right? I had
Yeah,
to go back,
yeah,
right? And I think the first night, I blacked out the first night I was back, dude, right? The
you
first
did.
night. I just spent 4 months in bed, missed an entire semester of college, right? At this point, Benson flew the coop. He went and followed his girlfriend, which was he didn't like it there anyway. It wasn't much to like. Looking back, I wanted to do the same thing. My parents wouldn't let me,
It
right?
was a small school, not a lot of stimuli,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
But I
yeah, yeah.
went there, and it was, by the time I got out, I barely had a 2 up, right? And again, dude, I was planning to go back, but dude, my heart wasn't in it. I didn't know what to do, right? It was a tough spot. I had a decent job over the summer, but come the fall, right? And I believe, John, it's like, even at that age, it's like the universe steps in, because at that point, it was like midsummer of '85. My father said, "I don't think I can afford to send you back to college," right? And at the
How
time, dude,
about
there
that?
was no student loans, and we didn't like, our fathers were the dudes that paid for everything and qualified for none of it, dude. Right?
Yeah, we
He's
qualified for some shit because I'm the fifth of six kids, and my dad was sick and shit like
yeah.
that, so
Okay,
we had
that
almost
makes
nothing.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still
yeah.
struggle
We
though.
have. Yeah, exactly. Because again, it
You
doesn't
know,
come with books, and it doesn't come with all the other,
you bet.
ancillary stuff, right?
Yeah, and by no
So
means was it a free ride. I wasn't getting a free ride.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, dude, I had a job at a chainsaw warehouse. I was a part picker and filled orders, and and he said, I can't afford to send you back. Why don't you go to William Patterson? And dude, I fucking enlisted, right? I followed Eddie Brazen and Tony Simonelli. I wanted, like, dude, I got out of high school. I wanted to go in the Marine Corps, right? And my old man,
really.
no, we're going to college. So now at that point, I'm 19, and I joined the Marine Corps because I hated college so much,
Well,
but I wanted to
you were in the Marines.
breathe well for about a half an hour because I got hurt. Right? You didn't hear the story?
No,
I
no
kind
kidding.
of
I'm
think it's
sorry you
like,
got hurt.
well, you didn't get my newsletter. Like, how would you have heard the story? Think about it, right?
I was
It's like,
listening. I was watching
how
evening news
dare
last
you?
night.
How dare you not research me? No, I'm kidding.
And
So
we all know that
no,
my production team at Dysfunctional Dialogue would normally have picked that up in our intense research.
I'll tell you what, you son of a bitch. When they had me on Hot Wings, they had research.